Welcome back to Dividend Obsession, and thank you guys for checking out today's video. So as you guys can tell, if you have access to a calendar, it is a new month, which means we get to go over all of the dividends I received for the month of November, and I'm going to recap it here in today's video for you guys. Today, we're going to be reviewing my buys for the month of November, including the total number of shares, how much I spent to get those shares, and the expected dividend increase from those shares. Which of my holdings paid me out in the month of November in any and all accounts where money was received, how much they paid me, and compare that to November of 2021 to check for growth. We're going to take a look at the overall portfolio. We're going to add comments and point out any growth that we see there. And then we're going to do a goal checkup and check on some accomplishments made over the last 30 days. But now let's look at my buys for November 2022. So the first account we're going to look at is my IBA, also known as my retire early account. And I was able to add to 11 positions on 17 different days in November. I spent $316.23 on Apple to receive 2.252 shares at an average cost of $141.56. I spent $269.63 on AbbVie to receive 1.919 shares at an average cost of $151.46. I spent $225.32 on APD to receive zero point 0.8 shares at an average cost of $288.33. I spent $233.16 on Illinois Toolworks to receive 1.044 shares at an average cost of $222.12. I spent $319.97 on Microsoft to receive 1.369 shares at an average cost of $232.53. I spent $232.67 on Next Era Energy to receive 2.854 shares at an average cost of $81.35. I spent $232.82 on Nvidia to receive 1.513 shares at an average cost of $152.50. I spent $290.84 on Pool Corp to receive 0.985 shares at an average cost of $311.50. I spent $290.86 on Starbucks to receive 3.353 shares at an average cost of $92.35. I spent $232.57 on Visa to receive 1.172 shares at an average cost of $200.31. And lastly, I spent $232.77 on ExxonMobil to receive 2.076 shares at an average cost of $112.20. In total, I spent $2,876.84 to receive 19.337 shares in November in my Retire Early account. Keep in mind that $777.30 of that invested money in November was from my selling of Tesla 3.231 shares and 2 shares of NEO that I mentioned in last month's video. The next account we would go over is my Roth IRA. I actually added all of my money by April of this year, and I invested all of it by the second week of June, so I don't have anything to discuss here. Which brings us to the 401k. So I finally was able to get into the 401k with my new employer, and I added $58.38 of my own money, while the employer matched that and added $58.38 of their own money. And I'm using that to track an S&P 500 fund with Fidelity through my new employer. So I'm new to using the new platform with the new company, so I do have an email out to them asking them if they can explain how to see some of the basic information that I used to provide to you guys. Once I get information back from them, you guys can look forward to seeing that in future videos. And the next account we look at is my HSA. Since I'm able to invest in the 401k with the new company, I'm also able to now invest in the HSA. I added $150 of my own money while the employer threw in $25 of their money, bringing my total HSA contribution for November to $175. And as I mentioned in previous dividend recap videos, the new HSA with the new company is quite literally a health savings account. Therefore, it can't be invested. I am waiting on an email back from the new company to figure out how I can transfer that money over to my Fidelity account, which was with my old company, so I can invest that money again. But with that being said, let's take a look at the expected dividend increase from the money I spent in November. So in this chart, you guys can see that I was able to add a total of 19.337 shares in my IBA, which at the current dividend payouts of my companies is a $53.62 increase on the $2,876.84 I invested for the month of November. And sadly, after back-to-back months of getting dividend increases from my companies, I didn't get any dividend raises in the month of November. But on the bright side, I did have a really good month in contributions, so there's that to balance out the bad news. Next, we're going to go over the dividends that I received in the month of November in my Retire Early account. On November 10th, I received $3.43 from Apple, which was dripped, getting me another 0.025 shares. On November 14th, I received $7.90 from APD, which was dripped, getting me another 0.027 shares. The next day, on November 15th, I received $22.61 from AbbVie, which was dripped, getting me another 0.153 shares. And on the day before Thanksgiving, November 23rd, I received $5.44 from Pool Corp, which was dripped, getting me another 0.017 shares. And on the day after Thanksgiving, on November 25th, I received $12.05 from Starbucks, which was dripped, getting me another 0.123 shares. And lastly, on November 30th, I received $2.77 as an interest payment on the cash I held in the account that was just added back to my cash balance. So in the month of November, I ended up making $54.20. And that's an increase of 75% from November of 2021, where I made $30.97. And I did not receive any dividends in my Roth IRA, HSA, or 401k for the month of November, so there's nothing to go over there. And before we get to the final recap, make sure you guys are leaving a like on the video if you guys enjoy following along with my investing journey. And make sure you guys subscribe and ring the bell as I post dividend related content every Monday and Friday, as well as a monthly recap at the end of the month. And lastly, use that comment section down below and post those dividend growth rates and how much you guys made in November for your own portfolios. But now let's get to my final numbers. So in total for the month of November, I did make that $54.20 amount that I told you guys about before, which is that 75% growth rate from November of 2021, where I made that $30.97. And again, a little tip for you guys that are newer investors, it's really important when you guys first start to focus on the quality of the companies that you have versus the number of companies you have or the amount in dividends you receive. If you don't need the money from this portfolio right now, it's probably a good idea to focus on the growth of your companies and let those dividends grow organically versus investing for income just to make it look like you know what you're doing. Now we're going to check on the growth of the shares and income of my portfolio over the last 30 days. So concluding this month, I have a total of 1,010.844 shares at an average of 42.118 shares versus last month where I finished with a total of 996.738 shares at an average of 38.336 shares. And comparing all of that to the end of last year, when I had a total of 642.291 shares at an average of 24.704 shares. My projected current yearly income from all of my accounts is $928.97, which equates to a monthly income of $77.41 and a daily income of $2.55 versus last month where I ended with projections of $875.35 a year, $72.95 a month, and $2.40 a day. And comparing all of that to last year where I had projections of $356.30 per year, $29.69 per month, and 98 cents a day. So if you guys watch any of my other videos, you guys know that I like to compare to the market because if you're not beating the market with your individual stocks, you might as well just invest in the market. So I like to end my portfolio recaps by doing just that, comparing my portfolios to the market. So far, year to date, my IBA, my retire early account is down 1.91%. My HSA is down 14.34%. And my Roth IRA is down 20.07%. In total, all of my accounts are down 9.66%, and that's versus the S&P 500 that year to date is down 13.1%. So it looks like my retire early account is beating the S&P 500 by about 11%, and all of my accounts combined are still beating the market by about 3.5%. And I think it's important to outline your winners and losers. My best performing stock in my retire early account to this point is ExxonMobil, that is up 57.28% since I've been holding it. While my worst holding is Nvidia, which is down 14.98% since I've been holding it. And quickly, I wanted to go over some milestones for my retire early account. So I just hit over 150 total shares. I just passed my first company, which is AbbVie, to pay me over $100 a year, and they pay me $107.38. And lastly, with the $54.20 I made this month, not only is that a record for any month in my IBA, that also puts me over the total that I made for all of last year. I'm currently at $261.84, where I made $209.08 for the whole year, and we still have one of my best months to go. In the making of this video, speaking of the IBA, I really got to thinking of my main goal, which is to retire early. With that being said, I really want to know if you guys prefer this style layout where I go into a deep dive for all of my accounts, or just really want me to go really deep into the IBA. I really want to just try to avoid any confusion with my investing goals as the different accounts have different investment options, so I wanted to clear that up if there's any confusion. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about that. If this type of content gets you excited about dividends, make sure you guys check out my most recent video. But until next time, see you.